Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Jules Leyhe. In today's video, I'm excited to compare and contrast the Mulecaster Mavis with the Mulecaster. These two guitars are really inspiring. I own the Mulecaster, but I'm borrowing the Mavis from a friend. And man, I'd be lying to you if I said I was anything but head over heels about this guitar. It's really exciting, very inspiring. It's it's funny because Mule says specifically that these are not slide guitars per se, but they really do naturally fit for slide very well. Um, as a slide kind of, you probably know me as a slide guitarist first. I just feel right at home on both of these guitars. So, what I want to do is I'm going to just sort of, this is like a fun little field trip down two guitars lanes here. And I'm just going to play a bunch and I want to talk about things that I observe. Now, the main difference between these two, they're both stock, okay? There's nothing, no modifications or anything has been made to either one. The only real difference right now is that this Mavis is tuned to open D and the Mulecaster is tuned to open E. So this just sounds a whole step lower. Other than that, there's nothing really different. What I'm going to try to do to keep things as fair as possible and as consistent with my comparison is I'll only change tones. I'll let you know when I change tones, okay? So I'm going to play this one for a sec, and then I'll throw the Mulecaster on with all the same settings. As far as the signal chain is concerned, I'm just going straight from the guitar into my enigmatic pedal, right into my DAW. I have a little bit of reverb coming from Logic, but other than that, there's nothing else going on. The enigmatic is the only sort of in between, from the guitar to what you guys are hearing. So let me just play for a little bit. And, I really want to just kind of get lost in how these sound, get inspired, and, maybe get a little carried away and play some so that you can really hear these guitars in action. But Mule, I've got to tip my figurative cap to you guys because these really are just some of the most inspiring guitars on the market today. You guys have, really found something special here with both of these models. So now, without further ado, let's check out the Mavis right now, okay? I'm kind of on this like edge of breakup tone with the enigmatic, and you'll hear if I dig in a lot, it's a little bit more crispy. If I play a little softer, it's kind of nice and, not too distorted at all, kind of pretty clean. So here we go. I'm just going to dive in and play a bunch on both guitars. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, so there's some blues on the Mavis tuned to open D, and some blues on the Mulecaster in open E flat tuning. Both of these just feel like home to me. I feel, man, it's these make me want to play some slide guitar for sure. Now, I'll play some more in a sec with some different tones. I'll change the sound on my enigmatic just a little bit. But one thing that I could tell right off the bat is that there's, at least right now, these are hotter pickups. You know, there's more distortion, there's more gain without changing any of my settings on the enigmatic. This is just hotter, right? So the Mavis has a little bit lower output pickup, as far as I could tell anyway. And that's not a problem or anything, just an observation. Both of the necks feel really great, and I think that's something that's a real highlight of the Mule Resophonic family of guitars. The necks are just gorgeous, and they feel amazing. I've read some things on their website and just, perusing the internet. Well, people have asked, what's the neck shape? And the Mule response has been your hand, which might sound like a cop-out, but it really is just like this perfect neck feel. Now, one thing that I love about both of these guitars, and I'm going to demonstrate it right now first on the Mule, since I have the Mulecaster, rather, since I have this in my lap, is that they send them to you with this kind of perfect setup. And what I mean by that is it allows you to both play slide without fretting any notes, or if you want to fret notes behind the slide, you can definitely do that really easily. Check this out. So this is 12th fret, and I'm in down a half step. So that's fretting behind the slide on the Mulecaster. I know that this in video form might be a little bit, this is an observation that I'm making. It might be kind of hard to tell exactly since I'm the one feeling the frets and everything. But my point being here is that with this setup the way that it is, this is no accident how they send you a guitar. It's just meant to be played right off the bat, and you can just fret, like here's without the slide. It does not hurt my hands or anything. I can totally fret notes. And if I'm just playing slide, there's plenty of clearance so that, I can play slide with abandon and not worry about hitting the frets or anything, right? We have clearance, Clarence. Okay, now check this out. I'm going to do some of that fretting behind the slide on the Mavis. gosh, it's funny. The more I play this guitar, the more I just really, really want to get my own. So, John Pace, by the way, thank you for letting me borrow this. Really means a lot, for you to lend your awesome guitar to me for a while and to just let me get to know it. So I really appreciate that, John. Now, I'll tell you what I'm going to do next. As promised, I'm going to simply increase the overdrive that I have with my sound right now. Um, and right now I'm at about this like edge of breakup. I'm going to actually put some dirt on there. Let's see if we can get that sort of sustaining, just a little bit more of like a lead tone going on with this. And then I'll throw the Mulecaster on and we'll see how the two compare, all right? Now, same exact tone, not changing anything, just changing guitars. So I didn't add a ton of gain. I don't want to get too, I want to still be able to hear the guitar and not just being like Overdriveville. But it's still just so expressive. The guitar is like, I can still hear the tone of the guitar. Speaking of which, I haven't talked about this yet. If you don't know already, the biggest physical difference between the two guitars is that this is a hollow steel body. So this guitar weighs, it's not too heavy, but it's definitely, on the heavier side. But this is not a chunk of wood here. The neck is wood, but this is not wood. And something that I've noticed from having this guitar for about a year now, and both playing, national anthems at stadiums and a ton of gigs with this guitar, I've recorded with it. There's something to me about the harmonics. The harmonics are super active with this guitar. They're just popping. It's kind of a different sound than a wooden guitar, which is what the Mavis is. Now, the Mavis has the whole sort of resonator thing happening in, the down where the sound hole would be, right? So it's not entirely just wood, but the whole thing here is that unlike maybe say like a Fender Stratocaster or a Telecaster or a Les Paul or an SG, those are just wood guitars. This just has a different sort of sonic characteristic to it. And it's not better, it's not worse, but it sure is different. And I really like it. It's unique. It didn't take very long for this guitar to really feel like home. It was an adjustment to make from, especially like when I'm playing slide most of the time. You might know this already, but my kind of other main slide guitar is a Gibson SG. And this definitely, it's funny, I love having the two sort of different taste types of guitars to choose from as far as playing slide is concerned. I don't necessarily have a rhyme or reason as to why I go to one versus the other. But now that I'm talking about the Mulecaster and the SG, I think, for that like Allman Brothers, Derek Trucks, Dwayne Allman sort of sound, I definitely kind of lean on the SG. That is, obviously traditionally more in line with what Derek and Dwayne played. So it kind of works for that, but the feel of those sort of, like, especially the Derek Trucks stuff. I mean, of course, we know him as an SG player first, right? That sort of sound works on this, but it's a little different. If you haven't seen already, I have a video of my band, the Family Jules band, playing a performance in studio of "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers" by Jeff Beck. And that's a good example of sort of me and my voice on slide guitar with this guitar in action. The other one that I would recommend too, just for the sake of only hearing this guitar, is if you haven't seen my video of me playing the national anthem at the San Francisco Giants game. That was my actual debut playing this guitar. That was the first time I had ever played this live. Man, that this guitar filled up the stadium there quite impressively. And I was tuned to open C sharp in that video. The only reason I like different tunings is because of different sort of amounts of space that they fill. Like open C sharp, for example, is going to just take up more space than open E. It's not better, it's not worse, but since I was playing all by myself in this big stadium, kind of wanted to have the low end there with the C sharp. So I put some bigger strings on and tuned down a little bit, and you'll see in that video, it's like, wow, it's a pretty amazing tone that this thing has. So now just for fun and for a little bit more playing, I'm going to go a little bit more ham with the gain here. I'm going to turn the overdrive up a little bit more, okay? So now that we've played with some cleaner tones, I'd say I'm going to kind of go into more, like just more gain, overdrive, distortion land, okay? Same thing, I'm not changing anything as far as my settings except for the drive, and then I'm going to play both guitars with the same exact settings. So let me put a little bit more overdrive. We'll have one more playing example, and then I'll wrap this up. All right, now that is a lot of fun. I mean, this thing can handle that type of gain. I have more gain to go, but I don't like to. I definitely play with too much gain sometimes, but as soon as I dial it back, I always go, yeah, this is kind of better. Maybe that middle setting was like a happy. I'd encourage you to just be careful about how much gain you have. Okay. So anyway. Now that we've done that with the Mulecaster, let's get one more demo of the Mavis, and then we'll talk about this. So there you have it, guys. I wanted to just play these two guitars, talk about what I like about each one a little bit, mainly get to play them and let you guys hear them. I'm curious what you think, if you have a favorite tone. There were kind of 6 different tones, right? 3 overdrive settings, and then 2 guitars per overdrive settings. And I'd just be curious if you had a favorite, if there's anything, if you actually own one of these guitars, if there's something about them that you really love that I missed. I'd say the last note of, just kind of interest, one thing that comes to mind that I haven't really talked too much about is that the Mavis is one heck of a guitar acoustically. Which is really cool. I was getting into some, well, it was kind of like that right now, but one thing I love to do with all this slide stuff is I'll throw the capo on, and capo 6, capo 4, like kind of up the neck and start playing and just, see what new sounds come out. Last night I got carried away. I put the capo, I think I was at capo 5 or something, and I started doing this sort of claw hammer sound and style of playing, where I was really just sort of whacking the strings with my right hand and then playing, kind of like loosey goosey with the slide. And man, it sounds like this banjo sort of thing. It's got a lot of that sort of element to it. Now, the Mulecaster doesn't really do that. It's really an electric guitar. But anyway, this has those resonator sort of elements with the whole body down here, okay? But anyway, I just wanted to let you guys all know how inspiring these two guitars are. Let me know in the comments below if there's, something that I missed about these, favorite sound you had. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. I'm putting videos like this out all the time. I have a signature Jules Leyhe Liquislide. I have masterclasses diving deeper into all these techniques. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. I'll see you in the next video.